Hi, my name's Elizabeth Grace. I am the Director of Urban Fundraising at Western Reserve Land Conservancy. And I will also would like our other two presenters, Kima and Lizzie, to introduce themselves.
Hello, I'll jump in. My name is Kima Durden. I am the Executive Director of the Red All Green Partnership Urban Farm and Training Center in Cleveland, Ohio.
Hi, I'm Lizzie Swords, Manager of Urban Forestry Programs for the Western Reserve Land Conservancy.
All right, now we'll get started with our presentation on Cleveland's Urban Tree Hub. The city of Cleveland, once known as the Forest City, has lost half of its tree canopy since 1950. Development, disease, and death have led to a depleted, unhealthy tree canopy coverage of only 18% in the city of Cleveland. We consider a healthy tree canopy to be at least 30%. Low tree canopy disproportionately affects communities of color in Cleveland that can least afford these negative impacts. Formerly redline neighborhoods facing concentrated poverty and disinvestment brought on by the foreclosure crisis are now also challenged by increased rates of asthma, obesity, diabetes, and mental health issues. And as the climate warms, these vulnerable communities are also suffering from the effects of urban heat island and increasing numbers of high heat days. Trees are so important. They're essential to human life and a nature-based solution that directly counteracts the negative impacts of these challenges of low tree canopy. Trees produce oxygen, they remove pollutants from the air, they reduce stormwater runoff, absorb heat and cool the air on high heat days, improve safety, increase physical activity, reduce stress and incidence of these health issues, and even lead to higher IQs in children. So facing all of these issues in Cleveland, we brought project partners together, including Western Reserve Land Conservancy, Red All Green Partnership, Burton Bell Carr Development Corporation, and the Sweatland Center for Environmental Health at Case Western Reserve University to create Cleveland's Urban Tree Hub. I'm going to hand it over to Lizzie now, and she's going to talk a bit about the Land Conservancy's Reforester City program and how it fits in with the Tree Hub.
So the Reforester City program at the Western Reserve Land Conservancy is focused on urban reforestation in Cleveland. We do that by planting trees, giving trees away to City of Cleveland residents, and doing outreach such as our Tree Stewards training program, where we bring in volunteers and teach them the basics of tree biology and the foundations of community outreach and organizing so that they can be more empowered tree champions in their neighborhood. We maintain all of the trees that we plant for 6 years, with 3 years of watering and 3 years of visits and structural pruning after the watering is done, replace trees that die, and encourage our tree stewards to host their own plantings and attend our plantings as volunteers.
Okay, thanks, Lizzie. Now Kima will introduce Red All Green Partnership and their role in Cleveland.
Hello, everyone. Again, my name is Kima Durden. I am one of the co-founders of the Red All Green Partnership. In Cleveland, we operate a 16-acre urban farm and urban agricultural training center, where we believe the foundation of the work that we do is geared around community transformation through transforming green space. But we believe that if we could transform green space, we could also transform communities and transform lives. We accomplish our goal through several different activities on our farm. One being training. We train over 3,000 to 4,000 people on average over a 2 or 3 year period of time. So that works out very well for us. Not just local folks, but folks from all over the country come for our training programs. We are a Class 2 compost facility where we take in food waste from vendors all throughout the Northeast Ohio region, and we turn that compost or food waste into fresh soil in which you can grow in. We also operate a aquaponics facility where we raise tilapia fish, both for commercial use and for educational use for children and youth groups that come to see us. And then we also deal with health and wellness. We do cooking classes, life skill management, all things that's geared towards, again, our goal of transforming communities. So I'll stop there. Thank you.
Thanks, Kima. So the project goals of the Urban Tree Hub are to train volunteers in the care and maintenance of trees and planting of trees, plant 100 trees in low canopy communities of color, and distribute 400 trees for residents to plant in their yards at no cost, and to launch our first urban tree nursery in Cleveland. Lizzie can share a little bit more about our tree steward training program.
Our tree steward training program is hosted once a year. It is 6 sessions. This year we did our sessions virtually because of the COVID pandemic. We will likely continue to do them virtually in the future, as we heard feedback that this was more accessible for neighbors rather than having to drive to a classroom location. Our 2 in-person sessions had guest arborists teaching pruning and proper planting, and we then encourage our tree stewards to take on projects in their own neighborhoods with our support.
Thanks, Lizzie. As part of our Urban Tree Hub plan, we include a robust community outreach approach. So basically, our staff will go door to door talking to folks about trees and the importance of trees. We'll distribute free yard trees to those who have shown an interest through our door-to-door outreach. And then we follow up with them regarding the care and maintenance of their tree, make sure they understand how to take care of their tree. If they have any questions, we're available to them throughout the coming years. Lizzie, do you want to share about our Community Canopy Committee?
Yes, so we have a council person in Cleveland who runs a canopy committee for her ward, where residents, some of whom have been through the tree steward training, are able to go on walkthroughs with our urban forestry department and influence tree-related policy in their neighborhood. So we're also looking to plug our tree stewards in across the city to more of those committees so that we are meaningfully changing canopy in ways that aren't just planting trees.
So, and after we plant trees with community residents, distribute trees to folks for their yard, we are also planning on launching our first urban tree nursery in Cleveland at Riddle. So Kimo will share more about our plans for the nursery.
Yes, we're very excited. We just received news about 3 weeks ago that we have been selected as the primary location for the Cleveland Tree Nursery. Our goal is to provide tree stock for Cleveland and surrounding communities. Cleveland has an aggressive goal of planting over 300,000 trees over the next few years, and we want to be the provider for that. And we also see this not just as an environmental a good deed, but also job creation. Thank you.
And finally, as our program, we implement our program, and then upon the conclusion of our Urban Tree Hub, we'll evaluate the outcomes and changes in perception around trees with assistance from the Sweatland Center for Environmental Health. So our Urban Tree Hub, we feel, is a unique community-based approach to implementing climate solutions. We appreciate the opportunity to share it with you here and look forward to taking your questions.
Thank you so much, Western Land Conservancy. It's a wonderful project. I'll open it up to our evaluators for questions.
I'm happy to go first. So thank you so much. I'm always excited to see the work that's happening in Cleveland, both with the city and the communities. I mean, I think it's just the high ambitions around urban canopy. So questions about just kind of granular, but I know that that part of your proposal talked about the acquisition of some land right next to Riddall's campus. Do you foresee any sort of barriers? That seems like a very critical piece of this work. Any barriers around the purchasing of that land, and any other challenges that you wanted to share, or just would love to hear that too.
No, I can speak to that. The land that we're talking about is under a long-term lease with the city of Cleveland. We've occupied that space for the last 2.5 years. Actually, we were brought into the space by the city of Cleveland at their request. So the original site was zoned as what was called the Kinsman Farm. It was already an agricultural based site. So it's a very easy transition for us to move over from a farm to the tree nursery. The city of Cleveland's in full support. All of the local individuals that need to be involved are in full support. And we just wanted to move to purchase the property so that we would have that secured as we make capital investments on the land.
Great. And that seems to be, that's going to be barrier free. Like it looks like that will happen. There won't be any issues with that.
That will definitely happen.
Okay, great. Thank you.
Thank you.
I'll go next. Thanks. Great presentation. I spent years living in Cleveland, and so it was great to see the project, and yeah, great partnership too. So thanks for what you're doing. I guess I was similar questions to Benita. I was just trying to understand. So in the budget, the primary uses of the funds from this would be setting up the nursery. Is that kind of the main driver for this project?
Yes, that's correct.
Okay.
Elizabeth, you want to chime in on that at all?
Yeah, we have, we've been working with Riddall for a few years now. And so through our Reforester City program and the work that Riddall is doing, those are pretty well established. So this was an opportunity to take that work to the next level and bring the Cleveland Tree Coalition, which we're both members of, has been working on bringing a nursery to the city of Cleveland for a year or more. And so this was just, and when Riddall was selected, we were hoping Riddall was going to be selected, but that was confirmed a few weeks ago. And then just the opportunity to raise additional funding to really launch the nursery was what we thought that would be a good fit for the Thriving Cities Challenge. And in the budget, one of the biggest expenses, as you've seen, is just hiring the nursery manager. And I think we've all learned through the process that that's just something Western Reserve Land Conservancy doesn't have the expertise. Riddall doesn't yet. So we just need someone to really take that on.
And just to follow up, so a couple follow-up questions. So in the budget, it looks like it's about $12,000. Is that the full acquisition cost for the lot?
Yes, per lot.
Okay.
Yes.
Okay.
Yeah. And just for a quick background, if I could, just to give some context, so this doesn't appear to be a new venture for us. We've been in existence for over 10 years. We've have a active presence on the property that we own and manage, and even the site that we're in discussion with. So it's not a new venture. It's really a growth and expansion for our organization into a broader environmental scope.
Yeah, sounds like it. Sounds amazing. I guess the question then for me is, if you're relying the first year on paying the manager out of this grant, is there a business model within the contract to provide the trees that the manager would be paid on an ongoing basis? Like, how are you going to sustain this, I guess, is my question, kind of the second and third, fourth years.
I could say a few words to that. We came into this knowing that fundraising would represent a major component of what we needed to do. And that's what we're addressing right now. A few of the items that put us out ahead was the fact that we already had the existing infrastructure. And even as we take a closer deep dive on the budget, we may be able to trim some of those costs because we already have infrastructure. We already have some basic personnel. We have things in place. We have some equipment. So we're not starting from scratch per se. So that personnel admin type of help kind of gets us down the ball court, but the grassroots infrastructure items are already in place.
Yeah, I can add too to that as part of the Cleveland Tree Coalition had a committee that researched bringing a nursery to Cleveland. And through that, we worked with Tree Pittsburgh, which has an existing nursery that's been around for several years. And they kind of consulted on a business plan and what would make the most sense. And their Tree Pittsburgh's nursery is self-sustaining now and even making a profit. And so the business plan that the Cleveland Tree Coalition created, and then now Riddall is in the process of adopting for their project, actually does show over the course of, I think it's about 5 years, the nursery becoming self-sustaining when they start to be able to sell the tree stock for sale as a retail product.
And could you elaborate a little bit? The benefit of the trees are very clear, but can you elaborate on how the project will impact the community? What are some of the benefits other than the trees themselves as the way you are doing the project?
Yeah, I could jump in again. In the late early 2000s, as you know, Cleveland was devastated by the housing market crash. And during that time, it left a lot of vacant lots, a lot of abandoned homes. So the approach of the city was to begin to clear those homes, and it left a tremendous void of vacant lots across the city of Cleveland. And one of the things that organizations like Riddall and Western Reserve and the other partners came together to do was to say, how can we repurpose this property? So one end of your answer is, one is to repurpose dilapidated land and recover it for green space or useful purpose. And the other part is job creation. Because as we build this infrastructure around the tree nursery, we're also looking at ancillary jobs that will be created, from drivers to labor individuals, marketing, advertising, hard and soft skills that'll be needed for both skilled workers and unskilled workers that we could bring to bear to balance out the equation that we're working with. So community investment, community beautification, and job creation are the three things that we see as benefits.
I'll jump in to add to this as well. With our tree giveaway, tree stewards, and tree planting programs, I see the tree giveaway as a way for us to reach people who either already identify as a tree lover and don't know where to get plugged in. And that giveaway is a good first step to then keep reaching out to them, invite them to plantings, and let them know about the tree steward program, as well as just building our presence in the neighborhoods where the canopy is needed the most. If we can do more giveaways, more plantings, and find more community sourced planting locations, then that will allow us to be a more community driven program.
Thanks so much,
Great.
Lizzie. Jalon, did you want to jump in for the final question?
I'll try and say it real quick. So first of all, great presentation. I was born in Lima, Ohio, so a couple hours from y'all. First, how are you prioritizing where you're going to do your tree plantings, and will it be at private homes and public spaces? And then the second piece, I saw somewhere, maybe I made this up, that you were going to focus on incarcerated workers in some portion of this. So if you could speak to those two really quickly, I'd appreciate it. Thank you.
Yep.
You guys
So
can take the first part.
Our tree giveaways is how we focus on planting on private property. So those tree giveaways, identifying people, especially who have acquired a vacant lot as part of a side yard, and reaching out to them. And with our tree plantings, we are looking for basically like a couple parcels at least of vacant land that are close to each other, or a city park, essentially a sizable piece of green space in a neighborhood. They're either brought to our attention by neighbors, by community development corporations for the neighborhood, or by council members, or by our staff just as they're around the city looking for them. And then we go through a process with the landowner, which is often the city or the county, to get approval to plant on the land. So sometimes we may find a spot and the city has that planned for housing. We have to find another spot, but that's how it works up. And then for our final point, the maintenance that we do on our trees, we do hire a seasonal field crew to do that watering and tree care for the young trees. And this past summer, we worked with a local workforce development organization to recruit from a pool of candidates who had their employment interrupted by wasn't necessarily incarceration, but because of an encounter with the justice system that disrupted their employment. And so we partnered with them to recruit employees for that maintenance field crew.
Thank you, Lizzie. I'm sorry, we are out of time. So we're going to move on to the next team. Thank you so much, Western Reserve Land Conservancy, for a wonderful presentation.